wrote Alice's Adventures in Wonderland in 2013. It's got a libretto by Maggie Gottlieb. It was a commission from Opera Holland Park. This is the opera company who every year they do a 3-month season in Holland Park in the centre of London, and they like to include in their season a family opera, and Alice's Adventures in Wonderland was their first commissioned work, and they wanted it to be for their family opera slot outside in Holland Park.
Can I have one? No, upstairs, goldfish, bunnies, yuppies, jumpies. Really? That's a chinchilla. No, it's a dormouse, guinea pig, meerkat, parrot. Stupid child, look at his little nose. Whiskers on his little face. This one's so sweet.
So I got to work on this during the summer before the first production. The first production was in 2013, so I was working on this in 2012, and we worked towards a workshop in the November when we tried out the whole show. We had a cast came and rehearsed it, and we tried things out with the director, Martin Duncan, and it was a great opportunity to see how the piece was on its feet, to work out were things working well, what wasn't working so well. And you learn a lot from these workshop processes, because one of the things that's hardest about musical theatre is it's all about the timing of a scene, a character coming across in a certain way at a certain time. This might depend on literally a few seconds of time, and getting that timing right, you try really hard to get it right in the composing process, but often the only time you really understand it is when you start rehearsing the music. So that workshop period in the November of 2012 was really, really important. I think of the music that went into that workshop, about 70% of it came out the other side, and 30% of it was either changed or in some cases removed or replaced, and that score that was edited from the workshop version was the one that we took forward into production.
I'm sorry, that cat's demented, and I'm not sure I'm all that tempted. I suppose if you're not infected and you're sure I won't regret it.
One of the things in my mind was that Alice's Adventures in Wonderland is a very well-known story or set of stories. There are actually 2 books, and if you analyse the books you realise that the format is quite episodic. Alice has a series of encounters with different characters that she meets in Wonderland. It's a world that we inhabit in the book. My feeling about having it as a stage work was that you do need to have a strong narrative drama that can take the character of Alice from the start of the show through to the end. And my first request to the commissioners, James Clutton and Sarah Crabtree at Opera Holland Park, was, can we impose a story on it, a kind of classic story like a Lost and Found or a Quest? These elements exist in the books, but they become kind of incoherent. So one of the things we had to think about was, how do we make this have good pace going through the 1-hour production that was planned? So in our version, they start off in a pet shop where Alice and her family have taken refuge from the rain. And it's in this pet shop that Alice first starts talking to the rabbit, who is the central character from Wonderland, with whom she journeys through Wonderland.
What terrible weather!
Who forgot the umbrella?
Dad!
Stupid fool!
It wasn't wasn't supposed to rain today. What terrible weather!
She realises that her family can't hear that the rabbit is talking, and she wonders what's going on. Is this a dream? What is happening? And we start from this realistic pet shop scene where the family is squabbling and trying to get out of the rain, and we enter into this magical world. Her family sort of recedes from her consciousness and from the stage, and the rabbit takes her through the Wonderland journey.
Oh dear, where is everyone?
Don't worry, they're not far away. They'll be here when we get back.
But where did they go? They left me behind. That's not very kind.
They just can't see us. Some people react strangely to talking rabbits. So I arranged things so they can't see us. And since they can't see us, obviously we can't see them.
Does that actually make any sense? It sounds very convenient, but I'm not sure it's quite true.
No general rules where we're going.
The way we did the first production, we were in a beautiful garden within Holland Park, and we had 4 separate stage areas. So we had the pet shop, which was the starting point. We moved then physically, all of the players and singers and audience moved into the second sequence, which was where the bottle sings and the Cheshire Cat appeared, and Humpty Dumpty appeared as well in that stage area. Then we moved to a third area, which was the caterpillar. Again, Alice was moving through her journey. Things were revealed on the way, such as there was this character of the Red Queen, and she was doing bad things in Wonderland. She was turning it from a happy place to a dark place, and Alice was on this quest really to try and sort this out. Then we moved to the fourth space, which was where the Mad Hatter's Tea Party happened, and also an encounter with the Duchess and the White Knight. And eventually we returned to the first space, which was redressed as a tea factory where the evil Red Queen had enslaved all of the characters, making scones and rolling pastries. And it was from here that Alice stands up to the Queen and solves the problem and brings happiness back into Wonderland.
I'm not gonna sweat in your tea shop from hell!
Out with her head! Off with her head! Somebody deal with her, make sure she's dead!
You're on your own! You're going to fall!
Don't get irritated from now on! I won't stand for it! Who will rid me of this affront?
Oh, do stop talking nonsense! Your carry-on is simply monstrous. You're a fraud, and I can prove it. You were given a rhyme, but you only abuse it.
And then, because that scene took place in the first stage space, it meant that at the very end of the show, it can fold back into being the pet shop, and we realise, oh, and Alice says, was that a dream? Although there's a little twist at the end where the rabbit winks at her, and she says, it was all true. But her family, who've reappeared, haven't seen any of it. we were thinking very carefully about how to make sure that this opera is engaging for families. And families, of course, will be older people, carers, parents, and younger people. We were thinking anything from 4 upwards, although we've had lots of kids younger than 4 come to see Alice, and I'm pleased to say they seem to have enjoyed it very much. That was one of the reasons behind migrating between the different stages. So what you have is you have sort of 10 minutes or 12 minutes of a sequence in one position, and then there's moving music that happens, I'll play a bit of that in a minute, that takes us from one scene into the next, and all of the audience and everybody are following a kind of Pied Piper, who's the accordion player, taking them to the next stage position.
What happens now?
It says something here about a pillar cat.
You're reading it upside down.
Over here.
It's back to front. It's over here. It's over here. You're reading it upside down.
Idiots with a heel.
Rally picket. Idiot. It's back to front. This way. Pillar cat.
Obviously, we've got Alice. And I was always very keen that Alice would have a song that was really strong, and she was going to sing this, and we kind of wanted to love Alice and be with her in her journey to try and stand up to the Red Queen and make things better in Wonderland. So she has this theme, I Flew High in My Dreams. So she's singing, I flew high in my dreams, sailing away above the world. And then this is the build-up music really to her big theme, which is the world is bursting with wonder. The world is bursting with wonder. There are learned tales on the trees.
And the grass is a city of insects. A million shades of blue and green. The air is a prism of color and light. Smoke signals drifting through the sky. And I fly, I fly.
So her theme is very bright, it's very positive, and we hear this theme actually at the very start of the opera and at various points where Alice's spirit really is coming through and trying to shine through. And that was important for me to get that tune written at the start really of the process, to know that I had this tune, this very strong positive tune that I could return to, that I was aiming towards. Then we've got a lot of other characters, of course. I mentioned the Red Queen. Here's a little bit of her music.
Your history books will tell you, no doubt you will have read. If people give you trouble, then just remove their heads. King Henry so loved the ladies, he went and married 6. But when they wouldn't give him sons, he found a new way to get his kicks. Off with their heads! Off with their heads! If she won't do her job, get a new wife instead. Shorten the odds,
rabbit has a big part to play in the show, as I mentioned. At one point, he talks to Alice and explains what's gone wrong in Wonderland, and he sings this.
A stranger arrived, and she showed herself queen. Where did she come from? Nobody knew. What did she want? She had a scheme to plunder our Wonderland, demolish it, lay it waste, abolish it.
So he is the person in the show who guides Alice through Wonderland on a journey, but he needs her help, he needs her energy to solve the problems that are in Wonderland. We have a Cheshire Cat in one of the scenes. This is played by a contralto. So this is the a male voice singing in the alto range, countertenor range. And this allows for some really nice meowing that can kind of be used with that high part of the male voice. Meow.
Excuse me. Oh, sorry, I didn't see you there. Where did you spring from?
There's also a singing bottle in that scene who is played by a sort of coloratura soprano.
Who said that? Well, whoever heard of a bottle that talks? The strangest thing.
There's also a caterpillar, and this is played by a bass singer.
Hey man, who are you?
Curiouser and curiouser, the Wonderland blues. I've got to choose.
Wonderland blues. It's like shooting dice.
How do I know what's good advice?
There's a white knight who comes in after the Mad Hatter's tea party and again sings some songs that don't quite make sense, and we've used some of the original nonsense lyrics from the books.
I know you're a little horse.
I saw an aged man sitting on a gate. Oh, how is it you live, old man, I asked, and what is it you eat? He said, I look for butterflies that sleep among the wheat.
In the Mad Hatter's tea party scene, which happens after Alice has left the caterpillar, where there is the hare and the March Hare, the Dormouse and the Mad Hatter. And there's a fantastic scene here. Again, not a lot is making sense in terms of the characters who are talking to each other, and Alice is trying to bring sense into it.
And you said without asking, not very refined.
Well, might I have some tea at least?
Have some wine.
This doesn't look much like a feast, but all these places seem to suggest you must be expecting guests. What's the time? Wherever's that watch?
You greased it in butter, that's why it stopped.
So we decided to create these characters that we call the Victorians. So these are people sort of in late Victorian dress, and they are a chorus, generally speaking, for the whole show, but they also help us move from place to place. So I created this music for moving between scenes, and it was important that it was music that the accordion could play on their own. So it's just a very simple... I harbour a secret desire to write for the Victorians their own opera, because I've got this sort of idea in my head that these characters are so excited that they've been brought to life for the Alice opera that they sort of yearn to be more than just the interlude people. So maybe one day I'll write an opera just about these Victorians. Is a highly collaborative art form. I've talked about the music, and of course I do my work. I'm sat at my piano, I come up with ideas like the Alice theme and the different themes for different characters in the show. But ultimately this is a stage work, and there's really important things that happen when you are in production. So I mentioned the workshop was really important, and that was a step on the road to the production. At that workshop, we had the designer came, Leslie Travers. We had stage technicians there to think about how we were going to do this in technical terms. We had the director, Martin Duncan, there. We had the conductor, Stuart Bedford, there. And between these creatives, they started to take the music they'd heard in the workshop and the layout of that and start thinking how they're going to breathe life to this on the stage. Then there's a rehearsal process, of course, and you start with piano and vocal score and you start sort of developing it, and then quite late in the day you start adding all of these crucial ingredients, the sets, the orchestration, the costumes, as I mentioned, wonderful costumes in Alice. And it's all of these things that have to come to life together effectively to make a good show. Now, I love the production part. You often have to make changes to things for all sorts of reasons. So, for example, at the end of the show where the big tune returns, Martin Duncan, the director, said to me, I need more time to get some of the characters off who have to make changes. Remember, there are doubling characters, back into being the family so that the pet shop can be revealed at the end. So this section of music, we need another 2 minutes of music. And I did that. I actually extended the big song and it goes up a key and becomes more lavish. And that's in the show for the pure and simple reason that we needed more time to make a technical change. As it happens, I think it makes a fantastic difference to the show. I think we need to hear that tune more at the end. So it's something that started live as a technical change, but actually creatively it turns out that that's actually what it needed to be. Lots of little things like that where you decide to compress the music a bit here or extend it a little bit there, and you often have to do that literally by making a note in the scores and saying play this bar twice, all that kind of thing. And it's really important that you make those changes when you're working in a musical theatre idiom, because as I said at the start, the timing in stage works is absolutely critical. We follow scenes with a lot of joy and interest and emotive engagement, but we can also lose engagement when things go on a bit too long, or we haven't heard enough of something. Maybe we haven't heard enough of a character and we don't connect with them yet, and then something happens so we don't care about them as much as the writers would want. So all of those things you're trying to take into consideration as you hone this multifaceted thing into its final form. It's been a delightful piece to work on, and I do feel more than any other piece I've written that I've only done a tiny bit of this. I mean, the music, of course, is very important, and you try as the musician to make sure that the music's strong and engaging and funny where it needs to be and passionate where it needs to be. But you're also needing to listen in to your librettist, to your director, to your producer, to your actors, your singers. How can we make this the best possible piece that we can?
But now I've found you, we'll move to Isha or Indonesia, add a face to your collection, and permanent amnesia will dim the recollection. Oh, we'll have some Westers in Leicester, Thomas and